Talking about George Bernard, let's go back to George Bernard Shaw first.
Yes, yes.
In this book, The Brotherhood of Darkness, which is by Dr. Stanley Monteith, is an American gentleman. Now, in that book, he's got an important quotation from George Bernard Shaw. It's on page 48 of Brotherhood of Darkness, and Shaw says here, "I also made it quite clear that socialism means equality of income or nothing, and that under socialism you would not be allowed to be poor. You would be forcibly fed, clothed, lodged, taught and employed, whether you liked it or not. If it were discovered that you had not character and industry enough to be worth all this trouble, you might possibly be executed in a kindly manner. But whilst you were permitted to live, you would have to live well." As far as I know, I was the first socialist writer to whom it occurred to state this explicitly as a necessary postulate of permanent civilization. That is that comes from his book, An Intelligent Woman's Guide to Socialism and Capitalism.
I never know exactly how to make my opinion clear, because I object to all punishment whatsoever. I don't want to punish anybody. But there are an extraordinary number of people whom I want to kill. Not in any unkind or personal spirit, but it must be evident to all of you. You must all know half a dozen people at least, who are no use in this world, who are more trouble than they are worth. And I think it would be a good thing to make everybody come before a properly appointed board, just as he might come before the income tax commissioners, and say every 5 years or every 7 years, just put him there and say, "Sir or Madam, now we'll be kind enough to justify your existence." If you can't justify your existence, if you're not pulling your weight in the social vote, if you're not producing as much as you consume, or perhaps a little more, then clearly we cannot use the big organization of our society for the purpose of keeping you alive, because your life does not benefit us and it can't be of very much use to yourself.
It's no good in this country putting questions of national importance to me. I've been here before. I told you what to do and you haven't done it. And you're up to your neck in trouble in consequence. I told you in New York, I put it to you very carefully and exactly. I told you that what you had in doing this country was to abolish your constitution, which was preventing you from doing anything. And now you see what's happened since. Every attempt you've made to do anything, the Supreme Court immediately stops it and says it's against the Constitution. Well, I tell you again, get rid of your Constitution. But I suppose you won't do it.
We're putting that knowledge into the new film we're working on. All of this going on, books by Bernard Shaw, George Bernard Shaw, where he endlessly said, we'll set up a world dictatorship. Anyone with below a 90 IQ will be executed. We need a painless gas, so it's humane. Killing you is humane. He says it's humane. He went and met with Hitler, Mussolini. He loved them. They were great. They were good. They were wonderful. And then after Hitler got exposed, that's why my dad, the botany professor at UT, was like, I'm Jewish and Hitler only wanted to kill certain groups. The truth is we have to reduce world population of all the bad people. Eugenics is good. See, and that's what I was taught in college. It was just, oh, you're here for a history class. There's too many people. Whites are bad. And be a white professor. And I was like, what is this? World government's good? Then I'd go turn CNN on it and say, the Southern Poverty Law Center says there's dangerous people saying there's a world government. And I went, in college, 20 years old, 19 years old, I went, wait a minute, they're telling me my guns are bad, white people are bad, world government's good, we need to reduce world population. But I turned CNN on, or I turned C-SPAN on, they're having congressional hearings about dangerous crazies that believe the government's doing this. So see, they propagandize, but then demonize so that mainline Americans never get involved. It's a thing of not making it kosher or palatable to talk about this. Now, I just happened across a video clip on YouTube last night, and I had already seen it here in the office in our research from The Soviet Story, which is a powerful film. It won the Boston Film Festival, the Black Nights Film Festival, the Baltic Film Festival, the Sedona Film Festival. Pretty big film. And it's the Soviet story, and it completely exposes how the Soviets and the Nazis were the same, worked for the same people, all run by leftist eugenicists who worshipped Hitler. I mean, I have to see Margaret Sanger all the time in Newsweek and Time as a wonderful woman. She was Time Magazine of the Year. She was the 100 most important women in the last century in 2000. And they never tell you she said blacks are subhuman weeds that must be killed. We'll use the Rockefeller Foundation to hire black leaders to do it. W.D.B. Du Bois, all of them, or E.B. Du Bois, all of them. And it just goes on and on and on. We got 3 clips. Some of it's really bad audio because it was filmed, 80 years ago or more, with him worshiping Mussolini, the worshiping of Hitler, the quotes that we've got out of his book about nerve gassing you. So we've got a lot of his quotes, got some video clips coming up, Aaron, but from your research of these people, what is the guiding principle of the left and right? What is their real secret religion? Not even really secret, they all publish it, but think we're so dumb we don't read it. And who is George Bernard Shaw?
George Bernard Shaw believes in eugenics as a religion. There's a quote with those words, just as Francis Galton said the same thing. And the shocking thing for me that I didn't know before I started working here was that all the stuff the Nazis did was from, England and the United States through all these eugenicists before that. And it just fits right in with the whole socialism and collectivism thing. They want to control everything from birth to everything you're allowed to eat and have. They want to control all of society.
This is a religion of chicken-necked pervert control freaks. But they're always perverts, they're always control freaks, and all they talk about is killing people.
But Bernard Shaw personally, when he was growing up, identified with Mephistopheles from Faust, which is the devil character. He believed he looked like him, and he praised Nietzsche. He was obsessed with Nietzsche's Superman comic.
And he liked Lenin, and Lenin thought he was the devil and tried to do his beard like the devil.
Yeah, so it's...
they're devils. They're psychopaths that get your government and kill you.
And they believe in every form and fashion that they're the elite class and that the rest of us are expendable and should be eliminated.
But really, we're just not psychopath control freaks craving power like them.
Oh, yeah, they want the power.
They've got to get, and again, I want to explain this. The reason these different, and the globalists divide and conquer, the reason they obsess in divide and conquer on always having a myth of only the Catholics are evil, or only the Jews are evil and all evil flows, or only white man is evil, or only black men are evil. They've got the mark of Cain on them, and so they deserve to be slaves. 500 years ago with the start of the transatlantic slave trade into the Americas. It's always an excuse to dehumanize a group, and so then people can't recognize the evil of their own organization. Because it's only that outside group that's evil. The Jews, they say, are inherently the seed of the devil. The blacks are inherently the seed of the devil. The white man is inherently every group, the black groups, the Royal Israelite groups, they believe all the whites and Jews are the devil. And then the other groups believe the blacks are the devil. And of course, you've got psychopaths that are Jewish groups, that are feeding on their own people, getting them to go under their control through the outside threat. We have the Zionist documents where they like their people to get persecuted. They have to. They finance groups to do it, to bomb Jewish. This is declassified by the British and the Jews in Israel, that they would bomb the ancient Jewish communities in Iran, and the ancient communities in Syria, and the ancient communities in Spain, and the ancient communities in Iraq to make them go to Israel. They would pay Hitler to not let the Jews leave anywhere but to Israel, and then to pay the Zionist money to get out. There have been major university publications written by Jews about that. That's a microcosm. The obsession on Jews is that by only saying Jews or one other group, but that's a good example, are evil, then you can't recognize the inherent psychopaths in your own group. It allows the elites to divide and conquer, but it also allows the psycho groups over the Catholics, over the Jews, over the Protestants, over the military. It's all cults, brainwashing, marching, sleep deprivation, shaved heads, identity, flags, colors, groups, gangs, cults. Everything is ancient mind control, and that's why they order you must body scan as an act of supplication, of submission. You must take your shoes off. You must answer questions. It's all about submission.
The racism is that the only group they really respect is their own aristocracy, but really only the ones who are willing to take control and, you know, quote, do what must be done for, quote, the Constitution.
Do what must be done, Lord Vader. Kill the younglings. You must kill the innocents to prove you're a psycho. And the priest class always demands children and women be killed as an act of total submission.
Yeah, and they want to eliminate the race so the Superman race can rise, but really they all have fatal flaws and they're evil, wicked people.
But think about every human culture turns into human sacrifice, enslavement, and war. It's an act of utter submission because psychopaths like the same thing, whether it's Ted Bundy or whether it was, the king of the Aztecs, Montezuma. It's the same deal.